Welcome to the raw and uncensored Ambitchious Podcast. During our time here together, I will be instilling all of the strength, power, and determination you will need to use the very stones thrown at you to build your ultimate empire. We will redefine the word bitch from the derogatory to the acronym being in total control of herself. So let's adjust our crowns and prepare to live life ambitiously.
Yeah, here I am, the original HBIC, Katie motherfucking Boyd. And on today's episode of the Ambitchious Podcast, we're going to be talking about how to use your purpose to power your ambitious life. And most importantly, how the fuck do you find your purpose? Because I know that there's a lot of purposeless bitches out there just wandering around the earth saying, there's got to be more than this. So that's why I created this podcast episode today. But before we get into it, I am going to pull a little card from the Woman in Total Control of Herself cards. The only place that you can purchase these cards is on kbmfc.com. And if you get these cards, I only have 2 decks left. If you get these cards, I'm going to throw in an extra little bonus gift as a token of my appreciation. So let's pull the cards. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our deck. We're going to knock out the old energy. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see it, but all you're going to do is just hit it on the top with your knuckle. You can hear that. Hit it on the bottom and then shuffle it up. As you guys know, I'm definitely never going to be hired by a casino because I can't shuffle to save my life, but I try my best here. Okay, so we got our cards shuffled. We're going to go ahead and we're going to place our hands over the top and we're going to call in our power posse. So let's take a nice deep breath collectively all together, filling up our lungs, exhaling all the way out. God, Goddess, Universal Life Force Energy, all of our guardians and guides and loved ones who are no longer here on this 3-dimensional earth plane, and our galactic family of beings of light. Surround each one of us and fill up our vessels with your light and your love and your ancient wisdom. Help us give a collective message. Anything that we are going through, anything that's holding us back from our highest, greatest good, anything we're stuck on, help alleviate, help give us the messages that we desire today. In Jesus' name, amen, and thank you in advance. And so it is. Okay, so let's go ahead and splay these cards open. And I'm going to tell you what I'm feeling right now. Okay, this guy right here. Let's see what it is. Ooh, the Predator card. If you can see it on YouTube, it's a little scary. It's a little scary. You guys are really going to love this card. I've pulled this before for myself. So let's get into it. So all you have to do is when you get these cards, you're just going to go to number 41 in the deck. So you're just going to open the book and you're going to just scroll through to number 41, the Predator, which is on page 195. And this is what it says. You know that voice of the psyche that wants you to comply or conform in order to fit in, or shames you for being selfish, or tells you it's honorable and responsible to deny your longing, demanding you fold your dreams away into a people-serving shaped box? It's a predator you adopted as family. The voice condemning and convincing you that following your desires will hurt other people. It's inside you. The call is coming from inside the house. That predator is an unholy inquisitor. He might have first showed up outside of you in your original home, church, or school, and most certainly in our culture as a whole. But he is now alive as the inner patriarchy. It's the force that wants to control you in order to keep you small and unthreatening. It's moved into the psyche as it does generation after generation if left unquestioned. A woman in total control of herself knows it's purposeful to speak truth to power, to stand up and march for justice, fairness, and decency. But she is also determined to march on behalf of the girl inside of her living with a monster. She is willing to take to the inner streets to clean up the injustice of bullying thoughts, blaming self-talk, and name-calling. She speaks up for fairness when the internal predatory voice demands she pleases everyone else before herself. She embodies fierce decency when her dreams or hungers or passions are shamed and belittled from within. It is time to take a stand against the unholy inquisition of the psyche and develop the tools to defeat the toxic patriarchy living there. You deserve nothing less. Such an amazing card. And it is so on point with what we're going to be talking about today, which is using your purpose to create the life that you desire. And I think that so many of the reasons why we're not figuring out why we're truly here is because we are just walking around selling our pussies on the sidewalk and people pleasing everyone and their mother instead of pleasing the most important human first, which is ourselves. If we please ourselves and we do what I like to call in my book or on the Ambitchious app or in my mentorship containers, we like to truly step into our power and be the most ambitious HBIC of our lives, then the first thing that we have to do is say no. We have to stop people pleasing. Because if you wake up every day and you use your bitch list, right? Those 3 to 5 things that if you do these things before you do anything else for anyone else, you're going to feel like the HBIC of your ambitious life. But what do? We wake up in the morning and we check Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and all of our text messages and our emails and all the wants and whims that everyone else has for us. And then we wonder why when we lay our head on the pillow at night, we feel like a bag of smashed assholes. It's because we're not figuring out what makes us feel full. And when we can do that, we become the HBICs of our most ambitious lives. So that being said, let's get into today's podcast. So we're going to be talking about how to find your purpose as an ambitious woman living in this day and age. So this is all channeled notes that I'm going to be reading from. And I think it's just so important for you to really hear the words that I'm about to say, because it's going to change your life if you let these things drip from my words into your mind. And then you can figure out what your true purpose is. And then you can truly stand into your power and you can live the rest of your life, the best of your life, which is what I call being ambitious. Okay. So did you know that only 25% of the people on this earth, now mind you, there's 9 billion people, billion with a B. So only 25% of the people that are living right now on this earth know what is their purpose and is living in their purpose. And I actually think it's less than that. I think that I'm being a little bit, I'm giving more than is owed, but 25%, they say on average. So there are 4 steps that I use to help people that I'm working with find their purpose. And I'm going to share that with you. I've been a business coach for a really long time. I help women level up their companies and have that triple threat of freedom, which is what I call time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom. And part of having that triple threat of freedom is first figuring out what that person that I'm working with, what their true purpose is. Because many of them are almost there. They're right at the cusp and they need that just little push over the edge to really step into their power. So there's 4 reasons, first off, why people are staying stuck and they're not living in their purpose, their mission that God placed in their hearts for them to live on this 3-dimensional earth plane. So the first reason why people stay stuck and they're not living in their purpose is, number 1, transition. What does that mean? A transition or a transitory time in anyone's life usually is anything that shakes the old identity and gives that person the opportunity to find and wear and try on a new identity. So this transitional phase can be anything from a loss of a loved one, It could be death. It could be a job loss. It could be a sickness, illness, or disease. Anything that is mostly a low vibrational experience on this three-dimensional earth plane. So think about a time where something happened in your life that totally rocked your identity. Right off the top of my head, almost 2 decades ago, I was fired from a job that I worked for a woman who I really loved, and she was a great role model for me. But there was this weird jealousy. Like I was the younger version, the better version of her when she was younger. And I'm not trying to be a douche. I'm just speaking my truth. Like she probably, 20 years before me was like that hot shit. And then I kind of came in and started working for her at her fitness facility. And at first she loved me because I was a go-getter and I worked my ass off and I made her a lot of money. And then what happened was she was going through a divorce and she wasn't working as much as me. And I was taking over a lot of her clients as a favor to her. And then her clients started falling in love with what I was doing and how I was showing up and how I was coaching them and how I was training them and what I was doing for their meal plans, etc. And then a lot of those clients, when she came back after her divorce, didn't want to go back to her because they were like, hey, I'm having a better experience with her. And she let me go. And I'll never forget it. It was Halloween weekend. And I had to go to a Halloween party dressed up. And I was like so depressed. And I was like, I cannot believe this is happening to me. I worked my ass off for this woman. How can she do this to me? And that was Halloween weekend. And by January 1st of that following year, so say 3 months later, I had opened my very own mothership, flagship studio of Katie Boyd's Misfit Club that then led me into having a internationally syndicated reality TV show called Wicked Fit. I was the official coach for Miss Universe, Miss USA, and Miss America. And I had all these opportunities to, go on Dr. Oz and Oprah and have, myself plastered all over billboards all over the world and on the covers of magazines and in the newspaper and all these amazing opportunities to travel and meet new people. And it was just an amazing time in my life. But I think back on that transition where I could have definitely made a story of victim mentality, like, oh, I got fired from this job and, I'll never find a job like this again. And I could have just given up and went and got myself a 9-to-5, job in a cubicle or at a big box gym or whatever. But that horrible thing that happened, I used that pain, that embarrassment, that loss, that just swift kick in the nuts to my self-esteem and self-confidence. And I used that pain to power my purpose. And that was my transitory moment. And everyone in life has so many of these times in their lives where they have these transitory moments. And instead of using the pain to power their purpose and step deeper into their power and become the HBICs of their most ambitious lives, they use that pain to go deeper into the shit pit, to go deeper into the pain, to go deeper into identifying with that victim mentality. And then what happens is they never truly live their purpose and they live a very mediocre, sad bitch life instead of living an opulent, abundant, freedom-filled, bad bitch life, right? And that's what Ambitchious is all about. It's being that bad bitch, not that sad bitch, and taking radical responsibility for everything in your life. And I could have definitely, done the victim mentality route, but I was like, no, fuck this. I'm going to show everyone. And back then, I used to use darkness to really power my purpose. Now I don't do that so much anymore. But when I was younger, that was definitely a catalyst to light some fire into my ass and say, fuck this, right? And because I took that leap, it propelled me and catapulted me into the life that I have now, which is, earning 7 figures a year, traveling the world, having wealth and abundance and time freedom and location freedom and obviously financial freedom and just having fucking joy. God forbid, we have joy in our lives and we really have a freedom-filled life. Fuck. I'll tell you, that's the only thing I live for is having a freedom-filled, opulent and abundant and wealthy life, surrounded by people that are like-minded and also are in that same vibrational frequency as me. So the first thing is they have this transition, and instead of using that pain to power their purpose, they fall into victim mentality. Okay. This is why people get stuck and they never figure out what's truly for them. Then what happens is confusion sometimes will set in. So that means, you feel depressed and anxious and angry and resentful and sad, and you can feel unmotivated, and you can lack desire and direction, and you may feel zero clarity, like what's next for me. Mostly it's because you're not speaking to God. You're not using your guardian angels and your guides and your ancestors, and you're not talking to them. That's why I always tell people, when you're living an ambitious life, you have to make time for yourself in your everyday to sit in quiet, whether it's in prayer or it's in meditation or just literally sitting in quiet with no distractions and just saying, God, I don't know what's next for me, but give me a sign. I actually did that last week. I was really struggling, and I asked God to give me a sign, and I created a whole entire channeled podcast that's going to be coming out in a couple of weeks that is going to blow your socks off. But in stillness, you find your true self. In quietness, God can speak to you. The divine cannot send you the messages that you desire if you're running around with your tits out like a chicken with your head cut off. You have to get quiet. You have to have these little pockets of peace throughout the day. And most people in the world, that 75 or more percent that get stuck in that victim mentality and not knowing what their true purpose is, get stuck in this confusion point. They get stuck in the depression or the unmotivated energy, and they don't know what the next step is. So most people get stuck in that confusion spot. Now, if you're a lucky bitch and you have your bitch list and you know what you're here for and you know that you're meant for more, and you get quiet and you allow spirit to speak to you, then what will happen is you will get into the third step, which is what I call the momentum, right? So if we can, for whatever reason, break out of step 2, which is that confusion, then we have this beautiful opportunity to gain clarity and get crystal clear on our focus to mitigate anything that could be in our way down the path of our journey. And we get concise, and we put those blinders on, and we get rid of all distractions. And then we know what we desire, and we just focus solely on that thing. But then what happens is, because you've done almost all the things, but there's just this little thing that's kind of just the thorn that's still stuck in your paw that brings you to this place, is which I call the fourth step. It's a trap, which is called unhappiness. And you go back after the transition, after the confusion, after the momentum, because you haven't really leveled up. You don't really believe that you can do the thing. You don't really believe, there's just something in your subconscious and your unconscious mind that you don't really believe that you can do the thing. So you go into this unhappiness spiral. And what does that look like? It looks like you feel unfulfilled. You may achieve a big goal or an objective, but you're still empty and unhappy. This happens a lot to people when all they do is focus on money and not purpose, and not mission, and not serving society and humanity. And they're so focused on the achievements and the accolades and the fame and the cash and the power that comes along with high level achievement. And you see this all the time, where these people become like multimillionaires and billionaires, and they have, yachts and homes all over the world, and, maybe a private jet and all this shit. And they're like, fuck, I thought that if I gained all this material wealth and all these possessions, that I'd finally fill that heart-sized hole in my soul that was going to make me feel like, finally, I made it. Finally, I'm enough. And I talk a lot about this in my book, Ambitchious, which go to kbmfc.com and pick up a copy if you haven't already. But I talk a lot about this in Ambitchious, the book. And the saddest shit is when you get to a place in your life and you look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, there has to be more to life than this. There has to be more joy. There has to be more freedom. There has to be more happiness. And the way that you get out of that 4-step victim cycle is, like I said, you find your purpose. Okay? So the word, let's break down the word purpose for a second. I love etymology. I love where words come from. I love the meanings, the prefixes, the roots and all that. So the word purpose, so the prefix of pure. So the first three letters are P-U-R, which is pure. Okay. So to set forth beforehand and to be without blemish, right? So, and then the word pose, which is the second word in purpose, is to suggest or intell the purest intention that we have set before ourselves. So the word purpose truly is the purest, highest form of intention that has been set before ourselves, before we even came to this three-dimensional reality on earth. I truly do believe, and I talk about this in my book, that before we came here, before our souls chose to incarnate on this three-dimensional earth plane in this time right now, we were handed a script by our creator that says, this is the life that you're going to lead. This is the person that you're going to be. These are the joys and the sadnesses. These are the scary times, and these are the triumphant times. And this is who you're going to be. And this is the family that you're going to be born into. And all of these things that I'm bestowing upon you, your creator says, is to evolve your soul on this earth plane with this human experience. Remember, we are not humans having spiritual experiences. We are spiritual beings on this earth having human experiences. And when you can realize that truth, your whole life will change, right? So I believe that our life's purpose was truly set forth before we came to this earth. Okay. So our creator, God, universe, whatever you believe in, for me, it's God. Our creator already wrote the story of our lives and decided our purpose before we came to this earth. And I love this Mark Twain quote, and I'm sure some of you have already heard this, but I'm going to say it because I adore this quote by Mark Twain. And he said, the two most important days in your life are the day that you're born and the day that you find out why. And our one objective on this earth plane, in this three-dimensional reality, in this time period, is our job is to align ourselves with our creator's purpose by following the breadcrumbs. In Ephesians 2:10 in the Bible, it says, for we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works with which God has prepared for us in advance to do so. Okay? So with that being said, all we have to do, and this is also in the Bible, thought, word, and deed, right? So we have to think the thoughts, the proper, correct thoughts that are in alignment with our purpose. We have to speak the proper, correct words that help us get deeper and closer to that purpose. And we have to create and do the actions that are in alignment with our highest, greatest good, which i.e. is our purpose in life. So if you believe, and I truly do, that thought, word, and deed create our reality, then we have to have the thoughts, say the words, and do the deeds that align with what we're here for and why we're here. Okay. So here's some questions that I'm going to pose to you that are going to help you find your purpose and step into your power. And you may already be doing something for work that you think is your purpose, but after you actually listen to this podcast and you really sit with this and think about it from a very educated, higher vibrational frequency, open-minded, open heart-centered way, it's going to help you really figure it out. And the quicker that you figure out your purpose, the better your life will be and the more ambitious you'll be and the bigger and badder HBIC that you will be on this three-dimensional earth plane. Okay, so get your notebooks out, get your journals, or listen to it once through and listen to it again. Also, if you feel like this podcast really is hitting home and it's resonating with you, please share it with as many people as you can. And don't forget, if you go on to where I check out, so like iTunes and any other place where you can leave 5-star podcast reviews, if I read your podcast review on one of the podcasts, I will send you a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful gift as a token of my appreciation for taking time out of your busy life and spreading the word. Because we as HBICs, from all across the globe have to band together even deeper to help other people awaken and help people step into their power and have their lives be ambitious. Okay. So the first question I want you to ask yourself is, who am I called here to serve? Who am I called here to serve? So service equals significance, purpose, and meaning in my life and in your life. And service shifts the energy from you to who. You to who. When I wake up in the morning, I say, God, thank you for this life. Thank you for giving me the purpose to serve all of these women from all across the globe, to help them stand deeper and step deeper into their power, remember who they are, and to show up every day as the HBICs of their most ambitious lives, right? So when you take the focus off of you and you put it out there, it shifts the energy to this divine, higher vibrational frequency. Now, don't get this twisted. You have to fill up your own cup first before you serve everyone else. So if you have your bitch list and you know what fills up your cup and you do those things, then you can show up and serve. So I was doing some research about this after I created this podcast. And did you know that there's this thing called a helper's high? I never knew that this was a real thing, but during brain scans, when people are helping people, they're serving people, and they're standing in their purpose, they release dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin that is the same exact parts of your brain that light up that have to do with sexual pleasure, sugar, social media scrolling, and substances like cocaine and getting high and getting fucked up. Okay. How crazy is that? So we can get that same high from all of those low vibrational frequency things that are internal to this external, right? So when we're getting fucked up, when we're drinking, when we're blowing lines, I don't know who does that anymore, but when you're smoking weed, when you're taking your gummies, when you're scrolling on social media, when you're eating copious amounts of sugar, when you're having an orgasm, those are all internal things, right? But when you have it's all external things. But when you have this helper's high, it shifts into this internal place. So how cool is that? The only thing that is internal from the helper's high brain scan is you serving people and helping people. Everything else is this, very extemporaneous, exogenous high that you're getting from outside things. When you're helping people, it's this internal, beautiful, divinely guided, energetic, vibrational frequency, right? So that's the first question. Who am I called to serve? So for me, I'm called to serve women who deeply desire to awaken, to make a shift, and to live the rest of their lives, the best of their lives, by adopting ambitious principles and putting those principles into play in their everyday lives. So that's the first thing. The second way that you're going to really step into your power and figure out your purpose once and for all is ask yourself, what problems am I called to solve? So think about the things that even if you weren't getting paid, you would do them all day, every day anyways. That's usually your purpose. So for me, it's giving people advice, helping people level up their lives, helping women scale their businesses to multiple 6 and 7 figures, helping people gain freedom, mental freedom, spiritual freedom, financial freedom, location freedom, a time freedom, just freedom to do whatever the fuck that they want, whenever they want, because that's what I do. I mean, 99% of the things that I do on a daily basis is because I desire to do them, not because someone's holding a gun to my head or I'm being paid to do them. That to me is true core desired feelings of freedom. So ask yourself, what problems am I called here to solve? So who do I relate to? Who can relate to me and what I've gone through? Who is going through what I've already gone through? Who has similar experiences to me? Because the problems that you solve are in direct correlation to the money that you accrue, right? Solve 1 million people's problems, become a multi-millionaire, right? So what problems did I overcome in my life is the next question. Tell the people your story, whether it's through a podcast or through social media or through writing a book or having a blog or something like that. That's the next thing. You have to say to yourself, okay, so I know I've asked myself who I'm called to serve. I've asked myself what problems I'm here to solve. And the next question is asking yourself, what problems did you overcome in your life? And then telling your story and then giving these people the ways, right? The tools, the tips, the tactics that you use to get out of that problem, right? And remember, when you tell your story out there to the ethers, to the humans, and you're doing it in a way where you truly desire to serve, they're going to fall in love with you. You're going to end up with that know, like, trust factor. When people know you, they like you or love you, and then they trust you. When you have something to give them, to sell to them, they're going to give you their money because they know, okay, I always say, stand on the shoulders of giants, right? Hire the person or learn from the person or be mentored by the person that already has accomplished what you desire to accomplish, whether that's in your spiritual world, that's in your relationships, that's in your health and wellness, that's in your finances, that's in your environments, your boundaries, your feelings, your emotions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? And then you have to ask yourself, how am I called to solve this problem, right? So it's the who, the what, and the how. Giving people effective and efficient ways to solve their problems, giving people effective and efficient, streamlined ways, the solutions to fix their problems, to help. And the more people you help in the world, the more money that you will have, the more opulence, wealth, and abundance you will receive. Most people who don't have a lot of financial wealth don't serve that many people. Or some of them don't serve people at all. They're not waking up in the morning and asking who I can help and how I can help them and what problems have I already solved and what tactics and tools and tips and whatever did I use to do those things, right? And so when I work with people in a mentorship container, one of the things that we do, and this is like when we first begin, is they have to really say, I help people who, fill in the blank, with the problem, fill in the blank, through fill in the blank, the solution. That's your statement of purpose, right? So I help women from all across the globe who feel like a sad bitch, and I give them all of these tips, tricks, and tools through my podcast, my book, my app, my events, my retreats, my mentorship program to solve their problem, which is fill in the blank. It could be one of the 6 life makers, right? It could be spiritual. It could be emotional. It could be your boundaries. It could be your health and wellness. It could be your relationships. It could be your environment. It could be your finances. It could be all the above, right? That's what I help people with. Now, in my mentorship program and on my app, we really go deep into this. So if this sounds good to you, this is probably where you should be going, right? Because I give so many free resources here on the podcast, but the real true evolutionary work is happening in my mentorship containers, in my Ambitchious mentorship program, or on my Ambitchious app on Mighty Networks. So if you're ready to make that leap, scroll down to the show notes. You can buy the app right then and there, or you can plan a discovery call with me, book a discovery call. It's totally free of charge, and I will have a conversation with you, and I'll see if I can help you. Okay. The next thing we have to do is we have to validate our purpose with your why. Okay, we have to validate our purpose with our why. Why are we doing this? Why are we showing up? Why are we serving this? Why are we doing this purpose or trying to help these people in the first place? So number 1 is yourself is selfish. Number 2 is others can lead to burnout and you can really feel let down. But if you do it for your creator, then you're doing it from a place of divinity. And when you do it from a place of divinity, when you step into your power and you serve and you know your purpose and you help humanity and you're doing it from a place of doing it for your creator, from a divine place, it is always going to work in your highest, greatest good. So let me go back for a second. So when you're trying to make money and you're trying to serve for yourself, it's coming from a place of selfishness, and that's a low vibrational frequency entity. If you're serving from a place of people pleasing because you want others to grow, you're going to have a lot of letdown. You're going to have a lot of disappointment. You're going to live a life of resentment, and you're going to be burnt out. No one likes a burnt out bitch. But like I said, if you're doing it from a place of divinity, it's coming from the divine, it's coming from God, your creator, then that's chef's kiss. Then you know you're in proper alignment, okay? And how do you know? How do you know you're doing this and you're serving and you're stepping into your power and you know your purpose? How do you know that it's coming from your creator? How do you know it's coming from the divine? You're going to have peace, you're going to have profit, and you're going to have passion. So by serving your creator, serving a higher entity other than yourself, you're always going to feel peaceful. You're always going to make money, and you're going to always feel passionate. Now, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say every fucking day is rainbows and unicorns shooting out of my hoo-ha. No, because in everything that we do as ambitious HBICs, we're always going to eat a shit sandwich. There's always going to be that little shit sandwich that we're going to have to eat every day. But I always tell people, make sure that you like the taste of the shit sandwich, that it comes with like a bag of potato chips and a really juicy fucking pickle on the side. Because we're going to have to eat the shit sandwich every day. For me, the shit sandwich is doing like admin work, right? It's doing social media stuff. It's dealing with, everyone always asking for my time. How many people I have reach out to me on a daily basis. It's like, hey girl, can I take you to coffee and pick your brain? Or can I take you to lunch and pick your brain? And I'm like, no, book a discovery call with me. It's totally free. It's because we're going to have a very serious relationship. It's going to be a very professional relationship when I enter into a mentorship program with someone, because my goal in life and my purpose in life is, like I said, is to help women scale up their businesses to 6 and 7 figures. It's possible. I've done it with hundreds, if not thousands of women over my 25-year plus coaching practice, right? So every day, that is one of my shit sandwiches. But now I have pristine boundaries. I just say, hey, girl, I don't go to coffee with people. I don't have lunch. And, thank you so much for offering that. But I would rather have a free discovery call with you. And I will listen to where you're at, and I will see where you're at. And I will see if I can help you take your business online, to help create courses, to help streamline offerings, to create an app, or help you with a retreat program, or help you with your brick and mortar to scale to a virtual place so you can hybridize your business, or help you, travel the world and get paid. When I travel the world, I'm making the same amount of money on vacation than I am when I'm working, because I have streamlined my processes to a place where I make money in my sleep. That is why I have the triple threat of freedom. That's why I can travel and I can work from anywhere in the world, and I can work whenever I want. And I'm always creating affluence and abundance and opulence in my life without having to kill myself. We as women in this day and age were bamboozled, and we were sold a bill of goods that said we have to work and hustle and grind to make money and to have the life of our dreams. And that is not true. Like I said, you go to the person that has already done what you desire to do, and you hire that person to teach you how to do it and to hold you accountable and to validate your feelings, or tell you, no, don't do that because I already tried that and doesn't work. Or yes, double down on that because that fucking definitely works. So if you're living a life right now where you don't know why the hell you're here and you feel like a plastic bag drifting in the wind, as Katy Perry would say, then go back and listen to this podcast as many times as it takes to figure out what your purpose is. And if you're still having trouble, reach out to me, scroll down to the show notes, email me at themisfitclub@gmail.com so we can get on a discovery call. Or if you want a lower entry money way to work with me and have me still in that one-on-one container, go ahead and scroll down and purchase a spot on my app. And you will be surrounded by all these amazing, like-minded women from all across the globe that have the same desires that you have to have an ambitious life. So many of us just want to talk and kibitz and just like complain about why we're not living the life of our dreams. And I'm literally giving you all of this free advice on this podcast. And all you have to do is either pay $144.44 a month for my app, or hop on a discovery call with me and see if I can actually help you with leveling your life up, or find another coach or another thing that resonates with you. But stop talking about it. Be about it. If you love this podcast, you feel like it resonated with you, that it kicked you in the fanny, and you got so much out of it, please, please, please share this on all of your social media, text it to a friend, send it on a raven's claw, send a smoke signal, do whatever you got to do, planes, trains, and automobiles. But please spread the word, because we as Ambitchious women need to, I'm going to use the N word, we need to help more and more women awaken on this three-dimensional earth plane. I hope that you enjoyed this podcast, and thank you from the bottom of my little black heart for showing up here week after week and listening and putting all of these things into play so that you can step into your power, remember who you are, know your purpose, and live the rest of your life, the best of your life, by being the HBIC of your most ambitious life. In the meantime, don't forget to stay ambitious, and I will see you next Tuesday.